Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, there may finally be an answer to CVS's locked cabinets, and it's not a hammer.
Also, you can make a living wage being a pro cornhole player, but you'll still make less than a plumber.
All that and more on the way next. Did you see this yesterday? The announcement that came down after the show that the Doomsday clock has been moved closer to midnight, aka Doomsday, than it's ever been before. This is something done every year by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. And this year they decided to move the Doomsday clock to 89 seconds to midnight. If you're wondering, last year it was at 90 seconds to midnight. Mm-hmm. They think that we are closer to Armageddon than we've ever been.
1 second closer.
1 second closer. Allie, are you concerned?
Absolutely not, because this is a completely arbitrary clock run by it's just run by scientists that are just basing this off of opinion.
Right.
So this isn't a real clock. This isn't a real time zone or anything like that. I don't hold any weight in the Doomsday clock.
Well, even if it's arbitrary, they still, in their opinion, think that we're closer to Doomsday than we've ever been. That's got to be important, doesn't it?
I disagree with their opinions, I guess. But I don't know. I just feel like...
What is your Doomsday clock at?
I don't have a Doomsday clock. I don't feel like you should have a Doomsday clock. Andy Mineo, he has a song from several years ago where he's like, if you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. And he's talking about the end of the world. And that's how I feel. So I don't feel like I need to really focus on when the world's ending, because I'm ready for it whenever it happens.
So you're a Doomsday prepper. I didn't know we had that on the show.
Definitely not.
If things go wrong, can I borrow a bucket of your mac and cheese?
I don't have any buckets.
It sounds like you do. This thing makes no sense. Because as time goes on, we're always closer to Doomsday than we've ever been.
That's true.
That's how time works.
Right. We're always closer.
So I also think, though, they put it at 89 seconds. What is with the so specific of a time? And they moved it by 1 second.
Yeah.
So if you weren't concerned last year, it's 1 second closer. And that means we have 89. We have 89 more seconds to go. Each second... what does it mean?
Yeah, it's not like, that's the thing. This is a completely arbitrary clock. This is all it's just meaningless. It's all just for a statement. It's a metaphor.
I think they set themselves up for failure too. I mean, this has been going on since 1947. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of different scientists on this board, this bulletin or whatever for years now. But somewhere along the way, they set themselves up for failure. You know, when you're making, this is a John Mulaney bit, when you're making a birthday sign and you start with a big B and then you make a big I and a big R and then you're like, oh no, I'm out of space. You have to squeeze in the THDAY. That's what they've done. They're like, we're 1 minute to midnight, or I guess we're more than 1 minute. We're 2 minutes from midnight. And then they're like, well, we got a little closer, but we're not like on midnight. Obviously the world isn't ending. We got to squeeze it, do like a couple seconds every year. And that's what we've been doing. But I feel like, honestly, compared to last year, doesn't it feel like we're actually a little safer?
I mean, that's what I was thinking too, is I feel like there's been a lot of peace being made recently. We've got ceasefires in, Israel and Gaza, and there's troops leaving Ukraine from, Russian troops leaving Ukraine. Like, I feel like this is actually very odd that they're making this, statement. And that's why I think it's more opinion based than actually based on fact.
Last thing is, as the average person, even if this was accurate, like I was looking at all the reasons they say, they think there's still unrest in the middle. I mean, there's always unrest.
There's always unrest in the Middle East.
But there's the potential of different wars. People have nuclear weapons, things of that nature, which has been true for a long time.
Yeah.
They mentioned climate change too. And I'm just thinking, as the average person, if we are closer to Doomsday than we've ever been, what am I even supposed to do about it?
Right. Apparently, you're supposed to worry about it.
I don't even think if I was like who runs Albania, president, prime minister, whatever. Like, even if I was the ruler of a country that's not the United States or China, what could I actually do? I have really no control over it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so what's the point of worrying?
That's exactly what I say. All this is a bunch of hoopla to make you worry about stuff you cannot control. And you know what the Bible says, Hudson?
What does it say?
It says tomorrow has enough worry for itself. Don't worry about tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it looks for a moment like we had another battle on our hands coming up in March when Jake and Logan Paul on social media, it seemed we're going to be fighting against each other like an actual boxing match. And people got excited for a moment, but that excitement was quickly stolen away after ESPN's Mike Coppinger went out of his way to report that the Paul brothers were not fighting each other, even though that's what it seemed based off of what they were posting out.
Yeah.
Instead, they are launching their own reality series on Max.
Oh.
Yeah. What I mean, would I have watched them fight each other? Would you have watched them fight each other?
Probably. I mean, if it was on Netflix, I definitely probably would have turned it on, even if there was buffering.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I trust Max a little more. It says it was on Max, so I feel like we could have just watched it the way it's meant to be watched,
right? Without
any interruptions. But at the same time, the tough thing about the Paul brothers fighting each other is that who would you cheer for?
No, I mean, you wouldn't have any preference. I don't think you would just be like, whoever wins, wins.
I guess if they fought each other too, the fun thing would be that you wouldn't know clearly which side it was rigged for.
Right.
Like when we had the Mike Tyson fight, you knew that it was like, well, Mike Tyson's probably going to like take an L on this one, right?
Yeah.
But if the two Paul brothers fight each other, who's to say?
Yeah.
It's not obviously rigged either way.
No. So that would, I understand why the internet got out of hand with this and was excited, you know?
But now it's just a reality series, which we don't know any of the details of that at the moment. But I struggle to think of any details that would really get me excited to watch Paul Brothers reality show.
No, I definitely will not be watching a reality TV show from them, even though I do enjoy some reality TV shows. That is not something I would watch.
There's so many other things you could watch.
Yep.
Why would we watch this?
Yeah.
Unless it all culminated with them fighting each other.
Yeah, which maybe. I mean, I don't even think I would watch that. I would still just watch the
fight. Yeah. Well, you know what? Show me the highlights of this after it airs, and maybe that's the most I can commit
we
to.
know there's going to be some crazy stuff in there. For sure.
There is.
For sure.
But not worth sitting down and watching a whole episode.
No.
Let alone a whole series for.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, but if that's something that appeals to you, March 27th, according to whichever of them tweeted this out, it's the moment you've waited a decade for. Is it?
Not me.
Yeah. A few minutes ago, we did useless knowledge all about Kansas. We were talking about which president is from Kansas. Somehow it came up off the air that, Allie, you are related to two U.S. presidents.
Yes, I am.
Gerald Ford and George Washington.
Yes.
Are those the answers to any of your bank account questions or anything like that?
No, that would be funny though.
Yeah, good thing I didn't. I was worried about giving that out. And so I say that I hope one day I get to be famous enough to go on one of the shows where they just do all the work for you and tell you who you're related to.
Yeah.
But I just think that will probably wind up being boring for them. And so I'd have to do it myself, and I don't want to spend money on it.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't think it would ever be boring in the sense that everybody's family is unique and has unique characters in it. Let's be real. And also very interesting events that happen because your family was living around the time of certain things happening. And so even if they were not big colonels in a war or whatever, they probably served during World War II or served during the Revolutionary War or whatever. And so there's interesting people in everyone's family.
That's what I feel like, that everybody that does an ancestry thing comes away from it going, somehow I'm related to George Washington. And I don't know how that can be possible. But then I'm thinking, for me, here's the problem with me.
What?
Is that I know that my mom's side of the family, you don't have to go back very far before they were more recent immigrants to the United States. From Europe, where they came from Germany, and then before that, the Ukraine and Russia and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to have any war, presidents or World War II veterans or anything on that side. And then my dad's side, I actually don't know very much about them, but they were in Canada yet again. So I'm not going to find out that I'm related to George Washington or somebody else of that nature in Canada. And so I just don't, I feel like I would, if I wound up paying, I'd find out that I was related to like an actual fish or something like that. Like that would be the coolest thing I could find.
No. But I also should clarify, I'm not descended from George Washington. George Washington never had any children. I'm related to him through his aunt, Anne Washington.
Even more amazing that so many people seem to be related to him.
Right. Yeah. No, he had no actual children. Yes, he was like a stepfather to children and a step-grandfather. Yeah. But just wanted to clarify that point. But I mean, like I said, I feel like you will be surprised by what you find if you do it. I was shocked by what I found.
Well, yeah, you're related to important people.
Everyone at some point is going to be related back to an important person because there's only so many people in history that you can be related to.
And I guess the people that are important are more likely to have records about them.
Exactly.
Than other people. But I also, I think it'd be interesting to learn. I would love to be the subject of a show where they do that and whatever, and they flip through the book and show you who you're related to, and you go, oh, wow. But then I also think, like, if I go through this trouble myself, what is it actually going to do for me?
I mean, it gives you a sense of belonging and also connection to your family. I just love that it gives me the ability to remember these names and stories that have been lost to our, current family. Because most of these people, my grandparents don't even remember or wouldn't be able to tell me about. So I just like that their history, my family history, is not lost to me.
That's good thinking. I'm also, but. The worst thing would be if I did find somebody famous I was related to or, important, some colonel or general or president or whatever. And then I'd think, would they be proud of me right now? You descended from me. I did amazing things. You talk on the radio in the morning. And we talked on the show. Allie's a big pickleballer. How, believe it or not, pickleball is actually a career opportunity for some people. You can make a fine living being a pro pickleballer.
Sure.
That's not the only obscure sport that you can find your way to a full-time job in. For example, cornhole apparently also is grown in popularity so much so that you could become a full-time cornhole pro and make your living that way.
Yeah, it's not as glamorous as it sounds, though.
It's not as glamorous as pickleballing.
Pickleball is allowing you to focus full-time, on pickleball. Cornhole doesn't quite have that offer just yet. David Rumsey of Front Office Sports, he did report that the sport roughly gave out about $7.7 million in prize money in 2024. But one of the best cornhole players, athletes, whatever you want to call it. Jeremiah Ellis, he is one of the top players of this. And even though he is one of the top, he's still a full-time UPS driver.
And it says he made $60,000 playing cornhole. So he's a dual income guy. Yeah. And that's $60,000 for playing cornhole isn't a bad income, though.
No, not bad at all. Especially if you would imagine he's probably making not bad money being a UPS driver. I know that they make not, terrible money either. So, but that sounds like it would be a lot of work.
Yeah, he says he's very exhausted a lot of times, but he just has to push through it. But I mean, look at this. Not only he's making $60,000 and being a UPS driver, but then there's Cheyenne Bubenheim, who is one of the top female cornholers. Okay. She made $54,000 last year, and it's been her full-time job for about 3 years.
Nice.
And that's because not only can, of course, you get the prize money from being a champion pickle or a cornholer, but there's also endorsement deals, sponsorships, which is crazy. I don't know what kind of company is sponsoring a pro cornholer, but go for it.
I guess if you sell like cornhole kits or whatever, the boards, then why wouldn't you want to sponsor an athlete that is really good at it?
Yeah. I don't know. Is there a big crossover between people that buy cornhole boards for their backyards and the people that are they're watching cornhole? I
have no idea. I'm not one of the people that watches cornhole. Apparently it's on ESPN.
That's where the money comes from, I guess. ESPN's so starved for live sports content. They're like, we'll put on the American Cornhole League. And I guess somebody watches it.
Someone does.
Enough people watch it for there to be endorsement deals.
I mean, we got to watch something when football season is over.
Yeah, we do. I don't know. It's crazy to me that you can make a full-time living playing a sport that most people participate in while drunk, I believe. But you can turn that into a career if you want.
Yeah, I would imagine they're playing better than most in the backyard game.
You know what's upsetting is there is, like, they say 20% of cornholers are pros, like full-time pros. Mm-hmm. And so those 20% of people, like, there's a lot of people listening now where you're making less money per year than a professional cornholer.
It's crazy.
Does that make you feel good?
I mean, no.
Do you remember mentioning this before, that Kroger was rumored to have partnered with Microsoft to work on facial recognition technology to give you a personalized shopping experience?
I did not hear about this.
I think it was rumored before, and now it seems that it is confirmed that Kroger is actually teaming up with Microsoft, this is according to The Nation, to install facial recognition technology in stores to identify individual customers, which could allow individual shoppers to see prices calibrated specifically for them. Does this sound like a good idea?
Yeah, no, this sounds like a terrible idea. And at least from what I can see from this article, everyone online is absolutely hating it, bashing Kroger for doing this. And just also, I think they're going to be using a system that is AI based,
right? Which
AI is incredibly inaccurate when it comes to facial recognition. So I don't think their system is going to work that well. So it just seems like a waste.
Yeah, it is. It's true that I feel like we've seen enough videos of the AI drive-thrus on TikTok and Instagram and whatever, where somebody pulls up and it's like, okay, 64 waters. Even our very own Chris Moneybags said he had that experience at Wendy's where it was like 64 orders of nuggets. And he's like, no, I don't want to order that many nuggets, but that's what the AI thinks. And so you could go to Kroger and it'll charge you like $85 for a gallon of milk because the AI screws up.
Yeah.
Definitely seems like one of the potential situations that could arise from this. It also just feels like the biggest lie we are sold from companies is like, well, if we collect this information, it'll make it a more customized experience for you. Nobody's asking for a more customized experience.
No one needs that. And also, yeah, this is all for their own research and for their own, I would imagine they're also doing this for their own, like, liability reasons, you know, as far as like theft and things like that. Because I know those type of crimes have increased in recent years, where people are, you know, stealing from grocery stores and oftentimes not getting prosecuted for it or caught or whatever. And so this might also be a way that they're trying to help prevent that by being like, you'll be facially recognized if you try and steal this stuff from our store. So don't do it.
Or if they have somebody that routinely steals, they just keep lowering the price for them until it's low enough that they're like, I guess fine, I'll just pay for it.
I don't think they'll do that, Hudson.
It says that it is specifically to see prices calibrated specifically to them is what their report says, which is crazy that like you and I could both go to Kroger
and pay different things.
And yeah, that we'd pay entirely different prices for the exact same product.
I hate
is
that.
Actually nonsense.
I hate that because even though they say they're going to lower it, or like you'll get a lower price, I feel
that's what they'd promise, right?
I feel like you'll still end up paying either the same or potentially more.
That means if I go and they offer me a lower price on something, and that means that they're offering you a higher price. If I can get this thing for $320, why can't you get it for $320?
Right.
It makes no sense at the same store.
Do they have the match thing where it's like, hey, my buddy took a screenshot of his AI facial thing and it said that he got this price for this product. I want this price because it says for me it's 50 cents more.
Quite frankly, too, doesn't it feel like you could like sue them for discriminating against you?
Absolutely.
Just based off of what I look like?
Right.
Because I have a beard?
Right.
You're charging me extra money for this thing? For this shaver?
Right.
No, thank you. I think I'm going to see you in court, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't like I don't know what if we could have a representative of Kroger on here to try to explain the positives of this, I don't think they could ever change my mind. This is stupid and bad.
I just love the side comment from this person that wrote this article. It says dystopia in aisle 3.
And in space, nobody can hear you scream, even if there's an asteroid hurtling possibly towards Earth, which is apparently the case. A new asteroid has been identified as the riskiest asteroid for Earth. The asteroid known as 2024 YR4 is a newly spotted asteroid that has a chance of colliding with Earth in 2032. What are the chances? 1.2%. That's not nothing.
That's not nothing. It's more than zero. And so, I mean, there's I guess an inherent risk if it's more than zero, but there's still a 98.8% chance that it will not hit Earth. And we're still very unsure of the data on this because right now, currently, that asteroid is actually traveling away from Earth, and then it'll start heading back towards Earth on an approach in December of 2028. So it looks like we'll know more information then. So I feel like there's not a lot of concreteness to this claim just yet. It's just like we think there's a 1.2% chance, but we will know more once it starts heading our direction again.
Let me put this in context. There's a 98.8% chance that this asteroid will not hit Earth in 2032. I just
said that percentage, Hudson.
Yes, but I'm putting it in context. There was a 99.6% chance the Falcons would win the Super Bowl with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 51 against the Patriots. So these things happen. 1.2% is not insignificant. I mean, if you really just boiled it down, 1 out of 100 times, we get hit by an asteroid 7 years from now. Does that make you feel good?
I mean, it doesn't make me feel amazing, but I also don't know the size of the asteroid. I don't know what the projected impact is, where it might be impacting. There's just a lot of questions I have. So sure, is it on our radar? Absolutely. Should we be, studying it to see if it could be a potential problem? Absolutely, but I don't think you need to worry about it.
And actually, based off of the percentage odds, it's a 1 in 83 chance that it hits Earth, as far as we know at this time. So 1 in 83, that doesn't sound significant, but believe me, it could happen. It
could be, like I said, again, these are preliminary, estimates. They are not refined yet. So, I feel like sometimes these headlines get us a little worried, but it's like, it's still preliminary. Even the scientists will tell you, like, they're not entirely sure.
And realistically, let's come back to this. Even if it is going to hit Earth in 2032, what could we actually do about it?
Yeah,
basically,
nothing.
I mean, you and I, we're helpless.
Absolutely.
So might as well just keep doing what we're doing anyways. But just something to keep in mind, you might want to have a 7-year plan for your life. Don't have an 8-year plan, is what I'm saying. Allie, do you remember this last year? So the Philadelphia Eagles, going to the Super Bowl this year. Mm-hmm. Last year, if you recall, they started off the season, I believe, 10-1.
Yep.
They looked nearly unstoppable.
Absolutely.
And then from that point on, I believe they went 5-6 or they lost 5 out of 6 to end the season and got their doors blown completely off by the Buccaneers in the playoff game that they made it into. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of that was people believe that Jalen Hurts, their quarterback, had gotten injured in some way, but that doesn't explain all of it because there had to be other issues going on, right?
Yeah.
There was supposedly, we don't know exactly, but supposedly some strife within like the coaching ranks, the organization, whatever. But we still don't know what that was. And then look where they are now. They sorted it out, same coach and everything, and all of a sudden they're in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Here's why I think that's impressive.
Okay.
And I think it's a reminder to us that like how many other organizations that we would probably consider garbage organizations in sports, how many would have that information leak out and get into the news, and then all of a sudden everybody has to answer for these things that possibly very well could be handled internally much easier.
Yeah, no, that happens a lot, and different franchises where it's like it's falling apart inside. Look at what's happening right now with the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler.
Exactly.
This stuff gets out there.
Yeah, I think too, being an Aaron Rodgers fan, the New York Jets for this season, basically every week of the year, there was some kind of leak that came out about the owner's teenage sons doing stuff and like
using Madden ratings.
Yeah, exactly. There was all these stories and like, well, it's going to seem chaotic and it's going to make it harder to sort out in your organization if there's all this stuff that you have to answer for in the news, where if everything was kept kind of behind closed doors and people were able to hash things out that way, it'd actually make it much easier to handle. I want to let you know that for many problems, like you can't guarantee that everything won't be brought to light one day, but for many problems, it just is much easier to handle it with who actually needs to handle it behind closed doors and not have your friends and the public getting involved in issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if you would think maybe that everybody knowing your business would be motivating for you to keep things on the up and up. But I don't think that. I think time and time again has proven that that's not how it works. People get publicly embarrassed all the time. It doesn't make them often seem to change their ways. Yeah, no, not at all. And I would agree that, you know, sometimes it is better just to handle it inside the house. I think of this in, you know, we were just talking about relationships. I think of this in marriage. Sure.
You know, people tell you all the time when it comes to like marriage counseling and all of this stuff, like don't start side talking with like friends or family, right? You know, almost gossiping about your spouse. You know, that is going to cause a rift in the relationship. And so it's very important, like, not that you can't, you know, share personal things, but if there is a communication breakdown within your relationship, don't then go use some third party against your partner. So, it's very important to try and handle it with the people that are in the relationship. Yeah, that's a great example too. And so here's what it all comes down to me is, you know, when you go to God and talk about an issue you're having, that's confidential. Like, again, some things are just going to get out regardless. You know, like what you do in secret cannot always be kept secret. But it's not that you tell God about it and then all of a sudden it's public business for everybody to know about. Yeah. You can come to God with whatever problem you have and he will keep that between you and him and he will help you sort it out. And that is to me, I love that idea that the confidence you can have in knowing, like, just you could go to so many other people with your problems and you don't know who's going to find out about it. Right. But you know, if you talk to God, that's between you and him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an amazing thing. If you want to experience that, Jesus is there waiting to answer whatever questions you have and deal with whatever problems you have. Just say, hey, God, I want that. I've got this going on. Help me sort it out. And he will. If you want to know more, RadioU.com/free gift. One of the top complaints, depending on where you live, about CVS is how much of their stuff is put behind locked cabinets. And it's not just CVS. Many other pharmacies, I know Walgreens is a big issue. Some Targets and Walmarts have this issue. And then that leads to, particularly at CVS, where it's usually a smaller staff, you could be standing there waiting for who knows how long for your to get whatever you need out of the cabinet unlocked. And it's ridiculous. Yeah. CVS seems... is testing out something that may solve this issue, but we'll see what we feel about it. A new update to the CVS Health app will now allow customers, for now, at a few select New York City locations, to use the app on their phone to unlock the cabinets so they can get their items that they need out of these locked cabinets without needing an employee to come over. I feel like this is better than potentially having to wait for an employee. Yeah. And have to go ask an employee, whatever. But I also feel like there's a lot of good reasons why this seems concerning as well. Yeah, that's the thing is that I don't really know how this helps because I know the reason they did this is because of anti-theft. You know, they didn't want people to steal these very valuable deodorants. Yeah. So that was kind of the reason why a lot of these bigger cities were putting on these, these glass doors or whatever on their cabinets. But apparently the reason this got approved and is going forward, or at least they're testing it out to go forward, was because there was a report of one shopper waiting upward of 40 minutes for a worker to come and open the shelf for them. Yeah. That's crazy. I would just leave at that point. That is crazy. I will say they just recently redid the Walmart near me
And I live in a pretty good area, and they still locked up like all of the beauty products,
Really?
which I need. But the good news is I guess this is good news. They just have like a person stationed there now instead of you having to go find
an employee.
I don't know if they like with the video game section and like all that's locked up, but there's at least an employee that's stationed there and that's their job. Part of their job is unlocking. And so that's what Walmart has done. But CVS isn't made the same. They can't do that. Here's how I think this helps, but also would be concerning for the average person. You think to use your app to unlock the cabinet, you could still steal stuff out of there, right? But because it's on your phone, they probably have, first of all, you have to put in like a CVS account with your name and whatever.
Yep.
And then it probably tracks you. So if you do just grab a bunch of stuff out of there and book it out of the store, well, CVS has their app on your phone. They know where your phone is, so they know where you are if they want to track you down, or at least they know who you are.
Right.
And so, but for all of the law-abiding citizens, that feels a little invasive. But then again, how many other apps are already doing that anyways?
It's true. So many apps are already tracking so much. But yeah, I would imagine that it would give them the ability to at least see what account opened the cabinet at what time. It may not be able to track you outside of the store, but it would be able to give that information to the police who can then go find you.
And granted, although that does feel invasive, that's also a trade-off that I feel like is worth it to not have to wait 40 minutes for an employee to come unlock the foundation for you.
Right. It's just sad that we're in this position in the first place. And so this feels like a imperfect solution. Yeah. But it's a solution because there is a bad problem with, stealing. And so they have to try and, make that not happen.
Yeah, they've got to do something. They can't just not sell these things.
Right. They can't just let people come in and take stuff.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for listening to The Hudson Show. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast.